All right, welcome to SEC Tournament Reaction with Chris Muller. We're going to talk about Ole Miss's 7-4 win over Auburn last night, an inside the park job, it looked like Little League out there, and a long bomb propelled the Rebels to the win. We're going to get into that in just a second, but first I want to tell you about the Vault Society. The Vault Society is the big push from the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. It's a 5-year commitment of support. Membership starts at $5,000 a year, and there's a benefit chart on the site. We'll give you that in just a second. All gifts to Ole Miss between now and June 30th will receive triple points. Red points are non-deductible and go towards priority seating. Blue points are 90% tax deductible and go towards parking and non-home ticketed games. That'd be postseason bowl games and neutral site. We got a pretty big one coming up on Labor Day that fits that bill, and also there's a pretty good thing going on in Hoover right now that would fit that bill. Anyway, how you doing, Chris?
Doing great, Steven. Obviously late night last night, but absolutely worth staying up a little bit later watching the Rebs get the W.
Yeah, absolutely. Every day, every Doug day is a good day. And Doug came out. He got, started off with Auburn, had a leadoff home run, and then he settled in and just retired batter after batter after batter. It was pretty good to see.
Gosh, did he? That was really amazing. Obviously, you talked a little bit about the home run from the leadoff hitter for Auburn. Then he retired 14 straight, so he really just locked in. After the game, Coach Bianco talked about Doug being vintage Doug. And he added that he's one of the best, not only in our conference, but in the country. Obviously, he was on a little bit of short rest, but Doug said, I wanted the ball. And I was really happy that Coach B gave me the opportunity for that last night. Doug went 6 innings, struck out 7, just allowed 4 hits, 2 runs. He walked 1. He only got one interesting stat for me was he only got to 3 balls on 3 different Auburn batters. And the first guy to get 3 balls against him, or Doug get three balls against that guy, was not until the 5th inning. So it was really, really neat for me. Doug was named first team All SEC.
Okay.
Young man, and we really need to relish these opportunities to watch Doug pitch because it won't be very long before he's signing a big league contract.
Yeah, it's there's a regional coming up that he's going to throw in. There's maybe a super regional. I mean, it could all be over next weekend. If so enjoy it while you have it.
Yeah, I'm real excited. I'm heading to Oxford next weekend. There were a couple people that said that we weren't a lock for regional hosts.
Yeah, I saw that.
Some big name people said that we weren't a lock yet for a regional host. I don't know what polls they were watching. I believe it was Kyle Peterson, and I think Kyle owns D1 Baseball, so it's really interesting for me to think that he was going against his own prognostications, basically, the guys that he hired to do prognostications. We're absolutely locked now. I don't think that's really a doubt in anyone's mind nationally. Kendall Rogers, Aaron Fitt all had us squarely as the number, I believe it was 13 seed in their prognostications. So we're on the right side of the bubble. We don't have anything to worry about the rest of the weekend. Even if, we don't win tonight or tomorrow afternoon, we're all good. So I'm really excited about heading to Oxford next weekend and watching Doug pitch. I'm hoping on Saturday night there's a little bit of a talk throughout the fan base whether he's going to go in the 1-4 game or the 2-3 game. And we can get to that later on in our discussions as we go throughout the weekend. Taylor Broadway, from a back-end perspective of the bullpen, really did great work again last night. Threw a 7-inning save, called one in the 7th to kind of clean up a little bit of a mess. Auburn got really close in the 7th. Obviously didn't tie it up or anything else like that. But Mike really called on Broadway to get that 7-inning save. And he really did great things last night. Only faced 1 over the minimum that he was required to face for that 7-inning save. It was his 13th save overall for the year. Tied Stephen Head for the most saves in a season. So really cool. Expect Taylor to absolutely break that record. And, records are made to be broken. And I think Stephen's pretty happy with the performance of Taylor Broadway this year.
Yeah, it's been really something to see. Another thing is the long ball really appeared with the team again. Hayden Dunhurst with his 2-run bomb, and then that weird Justin Bench inside the park home run, maybe outside the park home run, But either way, it's a home run, so why review it? But it was kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I consider that inside the park home run to be one of the most exciting plays in baseball. If you've never seen one live, they're really, really cool to watch them develop because they've all got a little bit of an intricacy to them. They're not that standard triple that's hit down the line or hit to the gap and left or right center. There's really got to be something peculiar that happens, either two fielders converging, they both dive, neither one gets it, and the ball rolls to the wall, or much like last night where with Justin Bench's home run, where it hits the top of the wall. The Auburn fielder was kind of disgusted at himself that he didn't catch the ball. He absolutely had a chance at it. And then the ball caroms off toward the pass into foul territory, and they don't get it in time. And Justin kind of just cruised home, and it was a kind of a no-doubter inside the park home run, which I've never seen one quite that, quote, easy for it to happen. And you talked a little bit about Hayden's home run. Hayden's home run was really big for us because it happened in the seventh after Auburn had put up the 2 runs that I had talked about earlier. And it gave us a nice cushion. So it was really that, okay, now we can breathe a sigh of relief type situation. And just really good to see Hayden hit the ball. Another person that really hit the ball well yesterday was Peyton Chattanya. Obviously, we had Peyton's home run against Georgia, which a lot of people feel like was hopefully a turning point for him moving into the postseason. But he had a big 2-run single in that 3rd inning where we put a lot of runs on the Auburn. And I think Peyton may have been the one that actually chased the Auburn starter, Jack Owen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he starting to hit the ball really hard, and eventually those are going to find gaps and spaces, and you can turn it around. But bad contact is a real slump. He's starting to hit the ball solidly, and it's just waiting for him to emerge, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the phenomenal freshmen, TJ McCants, Jacob Gonzalez. They used, as usual now, they've taken a place as a team leader, especially at the plate. What do you have to say about those guys?
We talk about them all the time on this show, which I'm really happy with, that we're able to talk about 2 really, really quality freshmen. All freshman SEC team honorees from earlier in the week. So really happy for those guys that they received that honor. McCants lit off the game, and if you got to the game early enough to see or watch it on TV and saw McCants' first hit, it really was a game. I'm not gonna say game changing, but an inning changing hit for McCants. So McCants hits the ball into, I believe it was right field, and he turns that single into a double. And it was a really close play at second, but McCants absolutely beat the ball out. And so now instead of having a runner on first, we've got a runner on second. Auburn's got to play their defense a little bit different. And then we get the error, and then McCants scores on it. And so it just really set up that inning really, really well for us. McCants also drew a bases loaded walk later in the game to score Tim Elko, which was kind of cool to see Tim score while he was on the bases. Not something that we're used to seeing. I think since Tim's come back off his ACL tear, he's the only runs he's scored have been off of home runs. So it was kind of cool to see him actually get a chance to stay on the bases and score. And then Jacob Gonzalez went 4 for 5. So 3 singles, a double, a late double. So Jacob just continues to see the ball really well. If I remember correctly, Jacob's mantra is, I just don't want to strike out. And so he really wants to put the ball in play, which is really, really a good thing. Good things happen when you put the ball in play. And that's absolutely the case with Jacob.
Yeah, he does really well with barreling up the ball and hitting line drives. It's kind of a little bit of old school baseball out there with Jacob Gonzalez.
Yeah, and Coach Bianco's talked about that before, that he's got an old school mentality that I just don't want to strike out. And that's my mantra at the plate, and it serves him really well. Obviously, continues to hit the ball really, really solid.
All right, so we move on to tonight, and a little bit, as you like to say, Hoover after dark, another late game. We're a couple of extra inning games away from that finishing at 2:00 in the morning. What do you think tonight going up against the Vanderbilt Commodores?
Tonight against the Commodores, we're TBA right now. Coach Bianco was not at a place to name a starter for tonight's game. I do expect to see Derek Diamond, though. I would be surprised if we didn't see Diamond. That's not to say that it's not going to happen. It's just something that would surprise me. Vanderbilt, as we all know, we took 2 of 3 from Vanderbilt earlier this month, so they're probably a little bothered at that, a little mad. Wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, that game on Sunday didn't really end with us and Vanderbilt really liking each other a whole lot. There was there's the grand slam that the Vanderbilt guy kind of stood and watched just a little bit, and then Hayden Dunhurst decided that he was going to admire his home run at a really nice pace when he hit his home run. So you know, I don't really expect that to carry over. Tim Corbin and Mike Bianco are obviously really great coaches and know how to keep their players in line. So I'd be really surprised if anything carried over from that series. That's not to say that Vanderbilt players aren't going to remember the fact that we took 2 or 3 from them in Oxford. Vanderbilt's going to throw a freshman. I believe his name is Christian Little. Interesting about Christian, he comes into the game with a 3-1 record, 8 starts. However, none of those 8 starts have been against SEC competition. So that's a little weird to me that they're just going to trot out a guy that's never really seen SEC action. In fact, his only SEC appearance was against Tennessee, and I believe he issued from what I've been able to figure out, he issued an 8-pitch walk, and that was the only batter he saw in that game. So kind of funny to see Vanderbilt trot out a guy right now. His ERA is right around 5.5, I believe, and his batting average against is 0.248. So his batting average and his ERA don't really match each other. He's got 37 strikeouts and 15 walks. So that's really about it about Little. So I expect the Rebels to be really disciplined at the plate to try to see if they can work the counts, to try to see if they can get a couple walks off them and just barrel the ball up as best they can. From a lineup perspective, Vanderbilt, we all know Vanderbilt can hit the ball really well. They had a big inning against us after we put up the big inning against them. They've got Carter Young leads their team with 15 home runs, followed by Dominic Keegan and Isaiah Thomas with 11 each. And Keegan leads their team with right around the 380 batting average. A player that I really like to look for is their freshman Enrique Bradfield Jr. Bradfield was named the SEC Freshman of the Year, and from a speed perspective, he's absolutely a speed demon on the base pass. 42 stolen bases on 47 attempts. So he's really going to make, if he gets on base, he's really going to make our pitchers work and really try to distract them from going after Vanderbilt hitters.
Yeah, and it looks like Vanderbilt, their strategy is get to a normal weekend-like setup before their actual starters start throwing. They just didn't want to bring Kumar or Jack Leiter out on short rest, especially with Jack Leiter going through the injury concerns that he was going through a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy. I think if we would have gotten to play in gotten one of the first 4 seeds, that Mike would have done very much the same thing with Doug. However, when you're playing in a single elimination tournament like we were yesterday, it's really important to get to the double elimination section before you can really do something like that.
Yeah, and in my opinion, everybody is talking about what Mike should do with Doug in a regional, and that's kind of the storyline right now. But I like to remind people that UT Martin happened. You can't afford that to happen on day one. That puts you so behind the 8 ball from the very beginning. It basically kills your regional right out the gate.
Yeah, obviously a concern on that. But obviously we're not going to throw somebody that we wouldn't normally throw in the beginning game of the regional. So there is that part of the equation that you look at it. I mean, that discussion is pretty far down the road. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you and I'll have that probably later next week to see. You know, I don't know if Mike's going to announce a starter on Monday on the Super Talk Mississippi show, but I'll be listening to that to see if he does. Obviously, they'll probably have some press availability after the regional announcement occurs, so we'll see if he's willing to announce a starter early or if he's going to hold his cards a little closer to the vest. All Mike's right. One of those guys that tends to hold his cards a little closer to the vest.
Yeah. But anyway, we have a little Hoover After Dark tonight, a chance to have a little 2 a.m. baseball perhaps. And in Hoover, Alabama. For Chris Muller, I'm Stephen Willis. And of course, Hotty Toddy.
Hotty Toddy.